again, welcome to another episode of Go Live Lounge. I'm your host, Grady Butt. And first, I want to take the time to thank Gnome Finder for being in episode 1 of season 2 of the Go Live Lounge, and thank everyone for all the feedback that was well received. Today, I'm talking to someone who, admittedly, the first time I found her, it was because she was playing one of my favorite franchises in BioShock. But also, too, she has probably, and I've told her before, in the most positive way, one of the louder personalities and one of the more magnetic personalities that I've experienced in when it comes to streaming. Very, very entertaining. One of the more interesting, actually, groups when it comes to streaming. When it comes to the title, I'm going to get into that afterwards. She's the leader of the Alphabet. She is Elimenop3, which I will say that is a very fun way of spelling it, which we're going to get into later on. Elimenop3, I think we're going to call you LM for this. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, this has been something that we've been trying to nail down for about a month or two, just with the schedules and all that. So I'm very happy to take the time. I want to thank you for the time.
I'm excited to be here.
Thank you very much. You know, actually, let's jump in. I know that I usually have the script to go into, but if you can, could you explain to me, number one, the origin behind the spelling your name, and number two, your interest in the alphabet?
Okay, so I actually did not come up with my name. My husband did. And, we kind of grew up with Eminem and the way he spells his name. And it's just really, really cool. And my full name actually starts with L. So we wanted to go with something off of that. So my husband actually was like, well, what about Elimenop, but we spell it kind of the way Eminem does. And I was like, all right, well, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. And then he actually spelled it out for me. And that's how Elimenop became a thing. And I absolutely adore it. And, since we are Elimenop, like HIJK Elimenop, someone actually said, well, why don't you call your community the Alphabet? I was like, oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen. So we just stuck with it and ran with it.
Excellent. You know, I mean, it's that's something that I'm always curious as to how people actually create their community titles, their community names, things like that. Like it's always an adorable little play on words, I find, when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, I love learning that too. I think it's really, really cool.
So speaking of how we develop, I guess the time-honored tradition is just finding out what made you want to start to engage in the concept of content creation and streaming on Twitch.
So this started when I was about 18, so almost 10 years ago now. And I was watching Markiplier and PewDiePie play Slenderman videos on YouTube. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I didn't realize that could actually be a job, because I grew up in a town where you had to have something prestigious, like some big time fancy job type thing. And that was always pushed. So I actually went to school for pre-med and was wanting to be like a pediatrician. Well, that didn't work out. And then finding out that you can actually make a career out of gaming and streaming and content creation, I was like, this is what I want to do. And that was 10 years ago. And I finally got the guts in October of 2020 when I was watching a Hollow video, and he was just having so much fun. He was just having a blast. And I looked over at my husband and I was like, if I don't do this now, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. So that finally gave me the push to do it. And it's been a blast ever since.
Was there, how would you say that that things have changed for me from when you first got started in regards to your process, your setup, anything mannerism wise, that personality wise, that from then October 2020 until now? How would you think that evolved?
My setup has definitely evolved. The way it started, I had one monitor. I was working off of my husband's computer. My webcam was set up on a Three Stooges collector's box, and it was the quality has definitely evolved since then. And personally, I feel like I have more confidence in my personal life and on camera. And it's just crazy to look at the difference between then and now. It's completely different. And like I've made so many friendships along the way. And I think it's made me a better person overall. Like
Excellent.
I'm better than what I used to be.
Excellent. Uh, you tend to be a morning streamer that flows into the afternoon, I find. And
Yeah.
I guess my thing is, was there motivation behind that? Because I know that the one thing I talk to some streamers about is they want to capitalize on a certain time frame, a certain market, things like that. So was there a particular motivation behind your stream schedule?
So I started off with like my first 3 months of streaming. I was actually teaching full time at the same time.
Mhm.
And so I would work from like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., come home, get ready for the gym, go to the gym, and then be ready to stream at about 9 o'clock. So I would go from 9 to like midnight and then have to go back to teaching the next morning. And that was just really, really brutal for me. I'm not a night owl. I'm also not a morning owl, like a morning bird or an early bird, whatever they call it. I'm a constantly exhausted pigeon. So I was like, noon, I work better in the middle of the day. That's when I get most of my stuff done. So I was like, when I finally became full time, I could choose my schedule. We decided to go with noon EST because like that's the most time I have my energy. That's when I get most of my stuff done. That's when I'm more focused. And so we go from like noon until whenever recently.
Mhm.
We've been going to like possibly like 4 to like 7 p.m. So it just depends on like if we're having a lot of fun and lose track of time. So that's kind
Exactly.
of the motivation behind that. I just work better in the middle of the day because I'm not good in the morning and I'm not good at night.
What would you say that your pre-stream process looks like? I know that some people have a rhythm, have a cadence, and a process that they go through. Do you have anything that, in particular, distinction with your process, or anything that you need to do before you turn the camera on?
Okay, I made a list.
I like a list.
My notes here. So first off, you got to turn the computer on. So I make sure to turn that on like as soon as I wake up. That's the first thing I get started. I have to make sure the background lights are up. So we have floodlights. Got those from Amazon for like $20, and they just work absolutely fabulous. But we change the lights and like the mood and everything. So we're playing a horror game. We typically go with red or like kind of whatever the mood is for that day. OBS, Steam games, Stream Deck, drivers. I got in trouble with a driver once. Making sure all that is updated before everything starts. I've gotten in trouble with the driver, completely shut my stream off because it wasn't updated. So I make sure to check everything that if it needs updating. Then they got to get everything open in terms of like Twitch dashboards, your moderation website, your like BRB screen games set up, stream elements, and then double check to make sure OBS is actually set up. So go in and make sure the plugins are working. And then make sure I'm unmuted. I got to make sure I'm
Yes,
unmuted. I'm
definitely.
not good at that one. I have to set like reminders. Hey, make sure that that's turned on so you don't start talking and then no one can hear you. Biggest thing is get food and water. Sometimes I get so excited I forget to go grab those. So I have to make a little note like, hey, I need to eat. I need to grab some water before we get started because otherwise you're going to get started and then you're going to be starving because you didn't eat.
Mm.
And then I'm finally able to turn on the camera. So I have a whole little list that I have to get going before we actually get started.
Something you brought up that actually got my attention a little bit, and this is most of the time you hear streamers, and it is the ring lights that is one of the big things.
Yeah.
You though using floodlights, how did that concept come about, or how did that idea come through? Because I think this is
Um,
the first time I've heard that one.
so like the floodlights, I noticed a lot of people have like the lights that are like around their like the rim of their roof
Mhm.
or the ceiling, excuse me, or on the floor. But sometimes those are so like bright that they kind of mess up the camera quality. So with the floodlights, let me see if I can actually show you. I've actually got them right behind my chair. So like I set them up to where they angle at the wall.
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
way it's not coming towards the camera. So that way it doesn't mess up the lighting there. And then also have another one hidden behind the couch over there.
Mhm.
And that way we can kind of change whatever color we're feeling and it can actually reflect onto the camera without messing up the quality.
That's a fantastic idea.
But with the
That's a
ring light, I actually found this out on TikTok. So I don't have the ring light faced towards me.
hmm.
I've actually got it faced towards the back wall, and my back wall's like a white color. So that way it reflects back and you don't see it in my glasses. It doesn't make harsh lighting for myself. So I've created a fuser with using a cheap ring light in the wall.
Excellent. That is some of the fantastic stuff you hear about when it comes to consistent and full-time streamers, is the meticulous nature of creating the aesthetic around them.
Yeah.
It's
And
not it's
I
not
love aesthetics. I like prettiness, and I'm trying to learn more about it.
it's not always just about the layout. It's not always about the scenes. It's also about just how you're creating your atmosphere around you, and that makes it much more inviting. So no, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
So what kind of things, and that this kind of goes to advice that maybe you would have given yourself about a year and a half ago. What kind of things should streamers who are just starting do before the first broadcast? Like what's the in order to basically rev up interest, rev up self confidence when it comes to that? Like what would you recommend?
For me, it's just doing a lot of research,
Mm.
finding out what fits you best, finding out how the software works. That way, when something comes up, you can fix it. Finding out how OBS works, because OBS is going to be one of the most critical things ever. Um, I used a lot of YouTube tutorials. I went to a lot of like Twitch channels to see kind of what they were doing and see what I liked, and then implement it in my own way. And then I also went to TikTok and found some like very useful. Now, most of it was not, but some of it was very, very useful information. And then I implemented all of that before I actually got started. And then doing test runs on your system to see if it's what you like, actually watching that video and seeing how you like watching yourself. If you can't watch yourself, no one else is really going to want to watch you either.
Exactly. If you can't believe in yourself with your dream, no one else is going to want to do it for you. So
And I
that's a
think that builds confidence too when you're able to see what you're producing. And if you like it, then I think you can definitely feel confident in what you're producing.
that's fantastic. Um, you said that you basically put yourself in a situation where you found the right time that fits you, because I was not a morning person, not an evening
Yeah.
person. Um, but what other challenges do you see when it comes to streaming that you've faced, and how do you address them?
Okay, so content creators, I've noticed as we are, growing and learning over the past year and a half, we have to compete with other streaming platforms, meaning we've got to compete with Netflix, Hulu, other games, going out and drinking with friends on a Friday night. We've got to be more entertaining than that.
Mhm.
Um, so the best way that I've come to realize that like people are going to want to hang out with you instead of doing all those other things is be authentic, be yourself. What you see is what you get. Like this is just who we are as a person. And then like learning about your viewers too. If you can find out stuff that they do, stuff that they enjoy, and then remember that and talk to them about that, people are going to want to come and spend time with you instead of like binge watching like Netflix at like 12 o'clock in the morning. They've got somebody to hang out with and actually talk to and have engaging conversations with.
It's
So I think
good.
that's the biggest challenge with content creation.
And is there anyone that you in particular reached out to, or anyone that I know you said before the first streams you really watched were reaction videos with PewDiePie, and I forget the name of the other person. Um, is there anyone that you spoke to, or anyone that whose streams you particularly enjoyed watching, that kind of gave you an inspiration as to the kind of stream that you are right now?
So, like you said, when I started off, it was a lot of Markiplier, PewDiePie playing
Markiplier.
Slender Man, and Hollow playing these scary games. But I didn't know much about Twitch when I first got started.
Mhm.
So no one in particular gave me advice. I went and looked for it on YouTube, TikTok, any other like websites I could find information from because I knew absolutely nothing about it. So I had to do a lot of research, and then like I would just find people on the recommended list that were like playing games that I enjoyed and seeing kind of what I've liked, what I didn't like. And so I didn't necessarily get any advice from somebody in particular, but just looking at very successful people and seeing like what makes them successful, like what do they do? Like what kind of charisma do they have? What kind of like how do they put themselves off? And doing that, I think helped a lot.
This one. Um, and going off topic a little bit, just based on that, because I know that we all, when it comes to watching Twitch, watching other platforms, we all have our niches.
Mhm.
Whether it's something that is something everyone does, the RPGs, uh, the shooter games, the social games, things like that. We
Yeah.
all have our niches that we try to basically find our community. We start to build our community through, not just through the interpersonal relationships, although that does help, but also we need to stand out a little bit. Is there a niche that you think you found that you at least enjoy and have found that people have come to enjoy through watching you and participating in your community?
So the biggest thing I would say is Witcher, the
Hmm.
Witcher niche. I have found a lot of amazing content creators that enjoy Witcher, enjoy Gwent, and a lot of our community actually enjoys those as well and have come to love it because we like play it so often,
Hmm.
and they've started playing it as well. Other niches I really, really enjoy and enjoy watching and enjoy participating in is horror as well. Like getting to see people like jump scare reactions is just the best thing ever. Like I
Hmm.
just think it's absolutely amazing. So those types of communities I really, really enjoy. But the biggest thing is for me is the personality. Like if you got a good personality, if you're fun to hang out with, for me, it doesn't matter what you're playing.
Hmm.
As long as you've got a really good personality and like get to know your viewers and talk to them. And I'm just like, oh, I want to be here.
That's and that's a great way to look at it. I mean, in the end, it is you. I think it's one thing to find the topic that is something you enjoy, but also it's pushing out there not just how much you enjoy that particular niche, but also how much people can enjoy you because of it. So I think that's something that it's a twofold thing that great content creators like yourself are able to really exceed on. So um, you've tried different times before when it comes to content creation, and um, a lot of streamers tend to get to a certain point, and it comes about in many different ways. What are your thoughts on any concerns about burnout, not just within yourself but also within other creators, and any advice that you may have taken or that you may give to others on how to deal with that?
So burnout, I set a specific schedule. So mine is Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and some Sundays. And with that, I think that helps so much with burnout because you have specific days that you know you're going into it. But also, I specifically set aside things that I want to do. I play games off stream. Um, I do things that I really enjoy, like going out on hikes and things like that. So if you also add in time for yourself, burnout, I don't think is going to come as harsh. Like, I don't think you're going to burn out as quickly. I do not think streaming every day is a good idea because I think that that will burn you out.
Mhm.
Um, as I said earlier, I used to be a teacher and I burnt out within the first year because it was something I wasn't enjoy doing. I didn't have time to really do other things. Like I enjoyed teaching my kids, but there were some other things that just, didn't really mix well with me.
Mhm.
And I got burnt out so fast. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't like thinking about it because like I also didn't set time away for myself.
Mhm.
And if you're not enjoying it, then I think you're going to burn out very quickly.
No, I could absolutely see it. I mean, it's the everyday streamers. I think it's a hell of a gamble. I've seen it work out where they do make it a good little bit of time without burning out. But I mean, God, just 30 to 40 hours trying to be yourself, but also an amplified version of that
Yeah.
in order to be appealing. I think it's a hard sell.
And some people can do it like
Yeah, absolutely.
fantabulous. Like they're just great at it. I know for me, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because it's so exhausting. Because like you're constantly talking and that's great, but talking for 8 hours a day, every second, that's tiring. That's tiring. And people need vacations. Like you
Absolutely.
need time for yourself. And every day is just that's really, really rough.
Absolutely. So you've been a content creator for about 13 months. Actually, no, not 13 months, 15 months, give or take.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think is the biggest misconception of Elimenop as a streamer? And it could be a negative or it could be a positive. It can go either way. And how do you deal with that misconception?
I don't really know of any misconceptions. If there are any, I haven't heard them and I don't know about them. But for me, it's usually what you see is what you get. Like what you see on camera is typically what I'm like in my real life, everyday life. It's chaotic, it's energetic. I do crash every once in a while, but that's okay. Um, but I don't know of any misconceptions, but maybe like I like to be very kind. I like to be very open. And just because a streamer is kind, open, and like loves having you there, maybe that's not a reason you can run them over.
Hmm.
So maybe that could be a misconception.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
as far as other ones, I'm not certain of any. I don't know of them. So if there are any, I really don't know. But usually what you see is what you get.
Leave them in the comments if you got any misconceptions about Elimenop3. Um, I think it's one of those things. Like a lot of people that I've spoken to about this, I think the one thing is, and I think you touched upon it, is, and it's not a misconception because you really could be this way, is the idea that people might have a different personality when they're streaming versus when they're in regular life.
Mhm.
And to me, I feel like that's, you can be the same person, maybe to a toned down point off stream.
Yeah.
Like you can still be happy, you can still be a very peppy person, but you bring it down from like a 12 or a 13 to maybe like a 6 or a 7. And you can still be that kind of person that people see on stream, every week.
Yeah. I'd have to
So
say I'm not as loud in person as on stream. That maybe that's one of them. I'm not quite as loud.
that's kind of disappointing now. I'm kind of wondering how Based would deal with that.
Base has recorded me on stream, and it was like I did not realize I'm halfway yelling at people. And he's just like, "You're so loud," and I'm like, "I don't think I'm loud. I think it's because of the headphones." Because they're noise canceling, so I can't hear anything. So I feel like I got to talk louder in order for people to hear me. So I'm actually like a little quieter in person. Like I
the,
promise I'm not going to yell your ear off. So
the,
maybe
the funny thing is, and I love that it's not so much a canned response, but it's a very paced out response. Every person that comes in to your stream, it's the same phrasing, and yet it still feels like it has some originality to it for every person. Like every time you say, welcome to my stream, how are you doing? I hope you're doing fabulous. Like it's the same thing, yet it still feels somehow original every time.
good. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the funny thing, is like I can actually see you actually greeting people, in that way offline, like in a grocery store, what have you. I mean, it's something that I think that a lot of people, just making people feel at home. I think that first greeting makes it feel so much more pivotal, or so much more critical to basically establishing that relationship with the community.
That makes my heart happy.
So you're 3 days a week, you're about 3 to 5 hours, leaves a good bit amount of time for your downtime. What is your favorite thing to do online or offline that's tied into your streaming work or your community?
So I love the fact that we have a community that we can talk to all the time.
Mhm.
So like even if we're not online, we have Discord, we're talking all the time. It's great. I have friends now that I can play video games with. I've never in my life been able to have that. Like I've never had people that I could play with because I grew up in a very small town where everybody knew everybody and like no one wanted to play games. That just wasn't the cool thing to do. I still don't think anybody there plays games. So I have people I can play games with now offline, and that is like my favorite thing ever. I've got people now that like I've created, I think, more like what's the word I'm looking for? Like I've created better connections with people I've met online through streaming
A
than I have
stronger
in my
circle.
entire life. Yeah, I've got a stronger circle of friends now than I have ever had in my life. And it's really cool.
It's funny because personally, I just got into Discord the last like couple years or so. Honestly, I feel like everyone did when the pandemic started.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like in a way, just people are so much more open about themselves because they feel a need to now. It's like, you're obviously, in your home for the most part. And we basically were for about a year and a half over the last couple of years. And it's
Yeah.
like, you need that system to be open with. And honestly, games, I feel like, can do so much more to bridge the gaps between differences with people.
Yeah.
And I think that basically is the central point in creating a larger net of similarities and discussion points with people.
Yeah.
And if you have a chance to do that, like you do with the alphabet, there's no limit to basically the kind of connections you can make with people.
Yes. And I
So
also have friends all over the world now. I never
absolutely,
thought I would have friends, not in the United States. I got friends everywhere now, and it's just really cool.
it's it's funny. It's funny just the way that everything, just one thing, video games, just in general, can do so much to help people. And streaming, honestly, as a whole, I mean, it's not just about going straight into the games. I mean, let me ask you this: what do you, without getting too specific, like, how much do you feel as though, as a streamer, um I don't want to say obligated, but open to the idea of exposing yourself in regards to your personal life when it comes when you do stream? Because I know that you, as well as others, you're not going to jump straight into the game once you get off of the starting soon screen. It's going to be, you're going to talk to people, basically just build that rapport. How much of that rapport with your personal life do you feel as though you're okay with exposing to the world?
So the only thing that I don't really like exposing is like my real name, my address, those kinds of personal things. But for the most part, like I'm very open with what happens in my life with everybody. And um, I think that creates authenticity because it's like, hey, you know what's going on here and like kind of what I go through too. And like we're gonna make it through together. We're gonna enjoy life together. So I don't think I hide a lot of my personal life with that. I mean, my husband's faceless, but that's okay. But other than that, most of my life is like, hey, we share that.
I mean, I think that's something that, we got to basically create the full picture of the person that you're actually watching. Like, we're
Yeah.
not just game players, we're also real people that go through real problems or real triumphs, even, like, flex your success as much as, exposing your shortcomings.
Yeah. And I think
So
that's really cool.
okay, so you're about 15 months in at this point. I know that you're open through many different social platforms. Um, where do you see this adventure going? Where do you see the future going for Elimenop as well as the alphabet? And where would you like it to go?
So my goals, I got a list.
We love the list.
I like lists. So my goals for at least for 2022 is to continue building a positive and inclusive community because
Mhm.
our community is going to keep on growing. And I'm really excited to see where our community goes in the next year. One of my biggest goals, what I really, really, really want to do is to build a partnership with CD Projekt Red. They're the creators of The Witcher 3, Gwent, and you guys know that I absolutely love everything that has to do with CD Projekt Red. And I think it'd be really, really cool to partner with them. So hopefully Elimenop can partner with CD Projekt Red one day. I think that would be absolutely amazing. Um, for 2022, I'm also hoping to possibly partner with Twitch. I would really, really like to get the little purple check mark, Hover and Dixper as well. And then I want to grow my YouTube. I feel like my YouTube is kind of lacking because I focus so much into Twitch content. I need to learn how to spread that focus to YouTube as well. And hopefully we can get 1,000 subs within the next year. I want to do more cosplays too. I'm getting more confidence through streaming, and I think since I'm getting that confidence, I would like to do more cosplays and like especially Witcher stuff. I think that'd be really, really cool. Also learn D&D, learn Elvish, and attend a first con. I've never been to a convention, and I really want to go to one. So those are just 2022 goals.
What other than Witcher, what kind of cosplay do you think you want to dabble in?
Dabbling. I would like to do an Attack on Titan one. I love
Okay,
Hanji. Hanji is absolutely amazing. I would love to do a Hanji cosplay. And then I don't know, see where it goes from there.
excellent.
I have armor.
I was gonna say, I truly applaud cosplayers or even people that are growing in cosplay that can commit so hard when it comes
Yes.
to creating. Like
I have no idea how they do that.
anyone could just get the costume. Anyone could just get like
Yeah.
the stuff to basically just put together something, quick and dirty. But
Yeah.
to actually go through with putting together the elements
All
to a
of it.
costume
All of it. Like I think her name's Kamui. Kamui, I think is her name. She makes everything. And she's actually been like commissioned by CD Projekt Red to make some stuff of theirs. And I was like, whoa, like, how do you even do this? Like, anybody that can make their costume is just baffling.
excellent. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's anyone can do it quick, but the people that actually take the time to do it, it's fascinating to look at. And I mean, I've
Yes.
seen it so many times. I'm like, holy shit! Like,
They're on a whole different level.
exactly. You know what though? Hey, I mean, just takes time and repetition. That's all it really is.
True.
So Elimenop, I do want to take the time to thank you. It's a lot of fun, and you have such a very cheery personality, and
Oh, thank you.
I would strongly recommend checking out Elimenop's channel as well as her content. We will be leaving all of her links in the description, as well as ways to get in touch with her. I do want to thank everyone though for watching this episode. If you did enjoy, please feel free to leave a like. I would tell you to leave it this. I would tell you if you don't like it to not leave a dislike. But frankly, we can't see the numbers anymore, so that'd be a waste of a vote. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment, any questions or anything like that. And in the meantime, I do want to once again thank Elimenop. I want to thank everyone for watching. And I do look forward to next episode of the Go Live Lounge. Till then, have a great day and be well.